Welcome back to Daily BBC News.
Hi, I'm Brandon Gray, and this is the BBC, Brandon's broadcasting channel. And today I am here with my amazing co-host,
Taryn Cowley, and today we'll be depicting the causes, courses, and characteristics of World War II. Now, why did the U.S. join the war? The United States transitioned from isolationism to active participation in World War II due to external factors and strategic goals. The isolationist doctrine, rooted in post-World War II political disputes, was destroyed by events like France's collapse and Pearl Harbor's attack. The U.S. intervention ended isolationism and ushered in a new era of global participation, driven by ideological alignment with allied democracies and international security. Now, Brandon.
Now, that is your recap as to what happened during World War II. Now, we're going to be sending it over to Kensei, who's in the field, and he's going to be going over the War Production Board.
Thank you, Brandon. As you can see behind my back, airplanes represented a big role in the War Production Board. During World War II, the War Production Board was made to coordinate the wartime management of industries. It was first established by President Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1942 at Washington, D.C. to oversee the conversion of civilian industries into wartime production facilities. This involved allocating resources across industries to ensure the efficient production of war material, including airplanes. There are four main significances of the War Production Board. The first one was the tactical importance of air power, then the mass production of aircraft, thirdly the technological innovation, and their logistical support.
That's right, Kensei. Not just airplane factories were being turned into war management, but factories that made all these cars were being turned into war management too. War management made all sorts of products that helped the U.S. out in the war. Imagine your own business being turned into a war effort. That was why this was so important. This was one of the largest shifts in America that involved U.S. citizens into the war. Changing productions like Boeing in the wartime was so important in our U.S. history.
Overall, the War Production Board's management was essential for meeting the demands of the war and achieving victory for the Allied powers. Back to you, Brandon.
Thank you, Kensei. That was a very, very, very interesting segment. But now, we're going to be sending it over to Zachary Takasa with a very, very, very important person, which there sadly are not very many left in the world. Off to you, Zach.
Hi, I'm Zach. I'm from the BBC, and I'd love to dive deeper into your former experiences at a concentration camp.
Nice to meet you. I'm Daniel. I'd love to tell you more about it.
Starting off, did you have any family, and what happened to them after you were captured?
Yes, I had a father and a brother. I was captured with my brother, and my father was upset, so we wanted to help us escape.
Oh, that's interesting. How long were you held captive?
I was held captive for about 8 years, but every couple years I'd transfer from camps to another. After a while, my father, he helped me and my brother escape by getting us forged papers.
It looks like you've been through a lot of adversity. I got one more question for you. At those concentration camps, what was one common thing you'd see?
Well, there were many unsanitary rooms, and it was hard to bathe and clean ourselves, and many of us would gain illnesses. A lot of my friends died from those illnesses. That was a bad experience for me. And also there were many chambers around, gas chambers I presume. Many people were captured and put in those chambers, and they were killed brutally.
That was probably a very scary time for you. I'm glad that people like you are here to tell the stories of our past, though. Thank you for your time. Back to you, Brendan.
Thank you, Zachary, and thank you, Daniel, for sharing your very, very special story. Now, we're going to be sending it over to Aryan, who's going to talk about the pros and cons of bombing Japan.
Thank you, Tamron. Now, for the pros and cons of the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan. It expedited World War II, forcing Japan's surrender and prevented further casualties. It saved lives for all the Allied forces and Japanese civilians, and some argue they served as a deterrent against future conflicts, contributing to maintaining peace during the Cold War era. And now, For the cons, atomic bombings on Japan, resulting in significant civilian lives and destruction, have been criticized for violating humanitarian norms and being a war crime. Opponents argue that alternative options like democratic negotiations or demonstration of the bomb's power should have been considered. Now, that's all for pros and cons. Now sending it back to you, Cameron. Thank you, Aryan. Now, I'll be sending it over to Grayson to talk about women in the workplace.
Thank you, Chairman. After a majority of men left their jobs to go to war, government and businesses began to open those spots to women, recruiting women to take those places. At the end of World War II, nearly 18 million women had jobs outside the home. This was an increase of 6 million from the original 12 before the war. Women also faced a lot of hostility within the workplace. They were not paid as much, and they always had to take double shifts due to them having to feed their families and help their kids. Some women were even allowed to join the military, majoritively being clinical or secretarial, but a very few being allowed to become pilots, as well as nurses overseas. More than 200 women died overseas due to enemy actions. Thank you, Chairman. Back to you.
Thank you, Grayson. Wait. Oh, my producer just gave me intel. Looks like there's been new evidence found on the D-Day invasion. Guess what, Brandon? I'll be sending it over to Konner, who's our on-site reporter. Right to you, Konner.
Today we are at the beach of Omaha. This is one of the locations of where the war happened because Hitler and Germany took over France. If you look over there, you can see all the Allied soldiers getting ready to free France from Germany. These fish are from America, Great Britain, and Canada, known as the Allied forces. This isn't the only beach, there are 4 others. We have Utah, Gold, Juno, and Sword. Those are other beaches that the soldiers from the Allied forces have planned to go to. Looks like the soldiers are getting ready to fight. Let's let them prepare. Back to you, Brandon.
Thank you, Konner. Now we'll be right back with a small commercial break.
Are you struggling to afford a higher education? Are you lacking skills needed for jobs? Or are you just struggling to fit back into society? Introducing the GP Bill of Rights. Our experts back in the lab discovered that your symptoms are very similar to veterans back in the World War II era. Those problems were solved by the GI Bill of Rights. This cure provided financial security to veterans after the war by assisting them through higher education, job training, and owning a home. The consequences of this cure were not only protecting the U.S. from an unemployment epidemic, but boosting its economy with vets using their education to earn higher wages. Our scientists have modernized this cure to better fit you by doubling the formula and expanding the cure to fit all Americans in need. So check in with your doctor to see if the GP Bill of Rights fits you.
In the chaos of World War II, the League of Nations faltered, unable to prevent the horrors of conflict, but from its ashes rose the United Nations. With the power to enforce decisions through collective action, the United Nations emerged as a beacon of hope for a world torn apart by war. From diplomacy to peacekeeping, the United Nations works tirelessly to build a better world for all. Call 212-963-4475. That's 212-963-4475.
Now, I'll be sending it over to Grayson to talk about the Cold War.
Thank you, Cameron. The Cold War was a period of geopolitical tension between the United States and its NATO allies, as well as the Soviet Union and its Warsaw Pact allies, lasting roughly from the end of World War II in 1945 to the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991. It was characterized by ideological, political, and military competition, but without direct military conflict between the two superpowers. The conflict played out through proxy wars, espionage, propaganda, and a nuclear arms race. All in all, shaping global politics and alliances. Back to you, Cameron.
Thank you, Grayson, and thank you all for tuning in tonight.
It's been a very, very wonderful broadcast on the BBC. That's all, folks.
That's all, folks.
That's all, folks.
Back with a small commercial break.
Airplanes represented a big role
That's my bad.
in the war industry. Production war industry. Wait, no. Role, wait, what the f of the war and achieving victory for the Allies?
Heck no.
Wow,
Heck
I
no.
couldn't see. You were.
Kensei, not only. Sorry, you make me nervous. Effort. That was what. That was what. Changing productions like Boeing back in the day was important history.
Like that. And also, there were many they would like lock people of my kind like into the chamber and stuff like that.
Do work looking nice, do work looking clean. Alright, let's get it. Alright. Thank you, Tamron, for the cons. The timing bomb. Take three. Tyrone. Now, for the Darn, man.